Hello, philosophy of alcohol folks. Welcome back to kind of our fifth week of this new normal, quote unquote. I hope that you all are doing well. I hope that you all are safe wherever it is you may be, and I hope that you're surrounded in good company, whether that's with good friends or family or a little bit of both. So this week we're going to kind of build from the last couple weeks, and I know that the last couple weeks have probably been a bit difficult and a bit challenging substance-wise. But I think that and from the reflections that many of you submitted last week, you found that they were very beneficial, the lectures, the discussions, the topics, and I hope to build on that. And I think that in thinking about kind of some of these topics with feminism, with alcohol, with hookup culture, with date rape issues, I mean they all are undoubtedly very important to talk about as it relates to kind of the overall topic of our class. So this week, this week is going to be a little bit of twofold here. So today, Tuesday, I just kind of want to like put some pieces together and just kind of like ask a couple of questions here about like the nature and the scope of responsibility in alcohol. And this, of course, builds a little bit from our discussions last week when we think about, when we think about kind of the piece on I believe it's Dixon. When we think about I'm getting some of my authors confused, I apologize. But when we think about kind of like the level of responsibility that one assumes when one is drinking, and this also connects with discussions back on identity, right? Does somebody become other than who they actually are when they drink alcohol? Like, what is the difference between a sober self and a drunk self? And kind of all of these, again, kind of intersecting questions that I think are really important to ask. And in thinking about this, kind of like examining the question and thinking about the question of like, well, where does responsibility fall, right? Because we all kind of again in those situations where you think you have a night where you maybe get a little drunk, you get a little buzzed, maybe you say things that maybe the next day you regret, you do things that maybe the next day you regret, and we sometimes do this thing where we say, oh well, I was drunk, right? Or I was buzzed, or like I didn't mean to behave that way, I didn't mean to do this, that, or the other, and you try to like place responsibility somewhere else, right? Well, what's going on there? Okay. And so what I'm going to offer is this is going to be the first little video, and then I'm going to have a couple of videos that I've recorded from my Philosophy 103 class. I teach that online sometimes. I'm obviously teaching it online right now. But it's going to reference honestly, one of my favorite philosophers named Jean-Paul Sartre, and he was a French existentialist philosopher. And Sartre, as you'll see in the videos, has a big focus and kind of the way that he thinks about existentialism, the way that he thinks about a framework to think about kind of the nature of our choices, I think is rare is actually quite profound. And so and he's got, I think, a really interesting way of thinking about responsibility, and it's going to be the framework that I use to think about responsibility. So I encourage you to watch the videos. They're from a couple of years ago, from an old apartment I used to live in, so it's just a little blast from the past. But go ahead and take a look at those, and then we'll pick up, and I'll have a couple of kind of concluding remarks, or at least kind of some things to think about in terms of those discussions and where that leaves us kind of going forward. So I hope you enjoy learning a little bit about Sartre. And then again, kind of like as you kind of watch those videos, think a little bit about, how it obviously applies to our overall class, our overall topic here. Okay? All right, and we'll pick back up in just a bit.